Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the October meeting of Safe Silver Spring. Safe Silver Spring is a nonprofit organization that works to facilitate uh, cooperation and dialogue between the community and the Montgomery County Police Department. Uh, Welcome. The format of the program is that we will be briefed by the Third District Commander, Jason Gokinas, on public safety developments in our district with the help of some of his lieutenants. And without further ado, I'm going to spotlight the commander and ask him to tell us what's going on in the third district. Welcome, Commander.
Hey, good evening. Thanks, Alan, again for doing this. It's good to see everybody. Good turnout on here, and then obviously, I think people appreciate being able to view it online as well afterwards with the recording. So, it's been a lot of. I feel like it's been a while since we met, even though it hasn't been that long, but it feels like it's been a long time. There's been a lot happening, so I'll try to breeze through as much as I can, and obviously leave time for good discussions if we want to have them. So, the one thing I will start with is we've had some command changes in the third district. So I'm still your commander, but the lieutenants, the deputy commanders, we have had some rotation. So Tony Galladora, those that know him, he was the downtown Silver Spring deputy commander, so the lieutenant over downtown. He has recently been promoted to captain, so congrats to him. He has been moved to, they're creating a new division that's going to basically house a lot of our operational support and intelligence. So the drones, our real-time intelligence center, and crime analysis, things that technologies and analyses that we use to better improve public safety is all going to be housed under one division, and Tony will be running that. So in his place, Lieutenant Doug Miller, who's on here, he is transitioning, and I'll let him introduce himself here in a second. He is transitioning to take over Tony's area of responsibility, which is downtown Silver Spring, basically everything that is inside the Beltway south. Lieutenant Rebecca Innocente, she took over for Lieutenant Greg Schmiel, for those that remember Greg. She is running Hillendale, White Oak, Four Corners, all the way up to Fairland and to Burtonsville. So we used to have three sectors. If you remember, Ida sector is the sector that was White Oak North, George sector inside the Beltway South, and we used to have a sector called Henry sector, which was Four Corners and Hillendale, kind of that Piney Branch University area, Four Corners. The department did some reorganization and cut us back to two sectors. So if you live in Long Branch, so Piney Branch University, all of that is now under the downtown Silver Spring sector. And if you live in Hillendale, Four Corners, you are now part of the Ida sector, which is basically the White Oak, Burtonsville sector. So basically what happened was Lieutenant Miller has a little bit larger geographic territory that he's responsible for, and Lieutenant Innocente, she has a little bit larger, and it's basically inside and outside the Beltway, just to keep it simple. With Tony leaving, we got Lieutenant Pat Kep. He's on here. I'll let him introduce himself. He is overseeing our late night, our midnight shifts, community operations. So our community officers, many of you know Brandon McLeod, Glenn DeFranco, our traffic complaint officer, that Craig, who routinely responds to a lot of our community members, all fall under the responsibility of Lieutenant Kep. So what I'll do is give them each maybe a few quick seconds to introduce themselves, and then I'll continue on with some items of interest that you might have, if that's okay with you, Alan.
That's fine. I don't see
Okay.
Lieutenant Cap here, though. He could be
Okay.
there.
Let's see. Well,
How about Lieutenant Miller?
Doug's here. We know Doug's here, so yeah, if Lieutenant Miller wants to start.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Lieutenant Miller. I've been employed since 2002. I started on the midnight shift in Silver Spring, and then I got promoted to corporal, then sergeant. I was the midnight sergeant, the downtown area from 2013 to 2022. Um, and then I got promoted to lieutenant, went up to Wheaton, and then went up to SOD to with Commander Kokinos when he was the director of SOD. And then I'm back home in Silver Spring. I consider Silver Spring my home. I used to live in North Four Corners, so for like a decade. So I'm very familiar with the area. I live there. I know all the people. I worked there for 20 of the 23, 4-ish years that I've been on this job. So I'm happy to be down here, and yeah, I'm happy to start working with everybody.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, and I think you'll hear from this from Lieutenant Kep as well. Um, the folks that are in our command for the Silver Spring District is not their first time working in Silver Spring. So that's what's great for us is that we're familiar with the area. And like Doug said, I mean, he used to live in Four Corners. I mean, you can't get any more familiar than living somewhere for 10 years. So Doug's going to be downtown Silver Spring. And like he said, he was the midnight sergeant down there and very familiar. So I think it'll be seamless with Tony Galladora leaving and Doug taking that over. It's going to continue smooth. I do see Pat Kep on here. I'll let him introduce himself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Pat Kep. As Commander said, I, like Doug, am back for round three, at least, round three for me in Silver Spring. So I started off my career on midnights in Silver Spring, opposite Doug. I left to go to the alcohol unit as a PO. Came back to Silver Spring as the supervisor for about a month on evening shift, and then back to midnights as the sergeant. Went back to the alcohol unit as the supervisor. Made my way for the last year, just about a year. I was the supervisor of the air support unit. So everything DFR and drones within the county was me for the last year, after Commander Kokinos and Lieutenant Miller kind of laid the foundation up there for me. And then now I'm back to Silver Spring for round three. And I'm super excited to be back. Like Doug said, it's home for me. While I didn't live there, I had family from there that's lived in the Hillendale area back many years ago, and super familiar with the midnight time frame, and that's kind of my my passion for those kind of hours and the people on those shifts. And like Jason said, I have community services as well, and our district community action team. So looking forward to working with everybody and hearing how it goes.
Excellent. And then unless Rebecca's on here under a different name, I don't see her. So if you are, just unmute. If not, I'm going to keep on trucking. And if she jumps on later, we'll see her hopefully and have her introduce herself. But she's overseeing the Hillendale, White Oak, Four Corners, and North area. And she previously was a community sergeant from the Germantown area. So Silver Spring is new to her, and she's learning the area. At least the White Oak and North area, since she's been here for a couple months now. So I'll start with a plug. Obviously, if you want to know things that are going on Silver Spring with police, I know a lot of people have left and gone to various other platforms, but the department has individual X accounts for each district. I'm at MCPD 3D Commander. At MCPD 3D Commander. If you have that platform and you want to follow me, I publish things local to Silver Spring. The department is on all of the general department is on all of the platforms. They have a whole media section to run all this. I'm just by myself, so I can only handle like one platform. It's as much social media as I can handle. But the department is on Sergeant Brenner, who works for Lieutenant Kep, is active on Nextdoor. And obviously, the general police department has a variety of ways that you can follow their media and social media. So I encourage people to do that. I'm going to start with the downtown, and then I'll work my way up. So I can't remember if I mentioned this the last time, but I'll mention it. We have now a 7-day-a-week central business district team. So your bicycle officers and officers that partner with our businesses to focus on retail theft, quality of life issues, issues with the businesses. We were able to restaff a second team, so we have 7 day a week coverage downtown, which is nice, and they are focusing on the quality of life issues and, like I said, the retail theft. We've been hitting retail theft pretty hard. I've said in former meetings that retail theft over a 5 year period since 2019 is up, over 100 and some odd percent. It's a ridiculous skyrocket. We've been focused very heavily on that. And so far, year to date, we're seeing almost a 30% decline compared to last year with theft. Now, compared to the 5 year window, we're still up. We still have a lot of work to do to get those numbers back down to where they were pre-pandemic. But we are aggressively apprehending shoplifters. And I'm not talking about someone that's stealing just an apple or a juice. These are people that are literally filling up contractor trash bags of merchandise and walking out of stores with them. So we've been working on that quite a bit. Retail theft is a big, big problem, so much so that the state passed a new law that took effect the beginning of this month, like organized retail theft law, which essentially makes it a felony to go around to these different stores and as an organized fashion, steal from them and things of that nature. So it doesn't change the felony amount, which I think would have been helpful, but it does give us some added tools with regards to coming after these organized crews that are doing things and being able to charge them with a felony, which is good. So we're going to keep doing that. We're also, while I'm on retail theft, we're also seeing a lot of problems up in White Oak at like the Cherry Hill Shopping Center and at the Giant in Lockwood in New Hampshire. So we've been working on with those businesses as well. And while we're doing all that, we're going to be doing what we did last year. We're going to be ramping up and temporarily assigning some extra officers to a holiday crime suppression task force. Essentially, what that unit is going to do for the holiday season is focus on our retail areas so that people can feel safer going out to shop at all of our businesses in Silver Spring. And also we can continue to partner with what we believe to be an increased amount of people coming out to steal. When there's more people out for the holiday season that are shopping, the thieves think that they can blend in a little easier with all of the public that's out there. So we're going to have some extra officers out there focused on that, focused on robbery suppression to make sure that we reduce the likelihood of robberies taking place, especially in our retail and restaurant areas, so that people can really come out and enjoy Silver Spring and hopefully in a safer manner because of the time of year. So what's going on downtown is we got some good news, knock on wood. Violent crime downtown Silver Spring remains very low, which is good compared to what we had in 22 and 23. I remember saying in these meetings before that violent crime particularly was going down in downtown Silver Spring. We're seeing continued declines, low amount of weapons discharges. We've had 0 homicides downtown this year, knock on wood. That is very good. We're dealing with a lot of quality of life issues downtown, involving folks from the shelter, obviously alcohol in public, urination in public, theft, just kind of those low-level offenses, but that make people feel uncomfortable. So that's what we're really trying to focus on to kind of improve some of that, and that way people feel, a little better when they're out and about. The cars getting broken into downtown, they're happening not as much in the garages overnight because we had been doing for months now focused efforts on those garages. So we're seeing less garage car break-ins, but we're seeing sporadic car break-ins all over the neighborhoods. Not completely off the charts, but more than I'd like to see. That stems from reminding people, obviously, and this is for anywhere in Silver Spring, lock your cars, Don't leave any items of value in plain view. During the day, if you run into a store, don't leave your purse on the seat, don't leave your computer bag. During the day, we are seeing opportunists that actually are smashing windows out now if there's valuables that are left in plain sight. So we've had some improvements in the late night hours, but we're seeing car break-ins during the day. So it's like a game of whack-a-mole for those that are familiar with the arcade. We go around and we're hitting it, and then things pop up in different places. Auto thefts, we're seeing district-wide a decline in auto thefts, which is good. However, we still have a lot of auto thefts, so it's not perfect, but we're seeing improvements. And that wraps up the downtown. A lot of the things that we saw earlier in the year, late last year, with late night illegal food vending and late night issues have dried up, which is good. We haven't really had any late night issues. For those that remember, a late night safety bill was passed championed by Council President Stewart of representing the downtown Silver Spring area. Since her bill went into effect, we haven't had any issues, and we have no businesses that have triggered a mandatory safety plan. So that is all good news for the downtown. So we are in the process of making some improvements to downtown from a police safety efforts. So we have a camera I think I've spoke about before at Fenton and Ellsworth. It's called a Safe Watch camera. So it's a safety camera that we can access if there's an emergency at the location, a crime. We can tune in our analysts, intelligence analysts, crime analysts can look at it live and provide specifics to officers that are responding into the area. That was funded on a grant that I worked on back when I was in special operations. And I'm happy to report tomorrow I'm going to be walking downtown Silver Spring to examine downtown 14 additional locations where we're going to be having these safety cameras mounted at intersection traffic light poles. And you see these cameras in Washington, D.C. and other jurisdictions. It's very common in conjunction with our traffic safety cameras, of course. But these cameras are going to be at major intersections around downtown that will allow us to tune in the event of an emergency and get real-time information to officers that are responding. We're also in the process of getting some additional license plate reader technology that we're going to be able to deploy on the main corridors coming into Silver Spring from other jurisdictions. And what we're trying to do with that is what we call precision policing. So these machines are programmed to detect felony vehicles, carjacked vehicles, murder suspects, wanted people, stolen cars. So it's not a machine that's given tickets or anything like that. It's for bad people. And so when the car goes by the license plate reader, it sends an alert to the officers that we have a murder suspect or someone that's wanted just came into Silver Spring. And it can allow us to focus our efforts on finding these people and targeting these people before they victimize someone in Silver Spring. So it allows us to be more precise instead of just blindly pulling people over, hoping to find somebody that's a really bad person. The technology will help us better focus on the right people, so we can target those people that are looking to victimize. We had one of these devices that we had been using. It was older and it broke, and so there's some new technology that came out that we're able to update some of these systems. So the other thing that we've been doing downtown is piloting, this really relates to our businesses, but really it's anybody, a technology software called Live 911 that we were using with our drone program. Essentially, when you call 911, the officer can hear you as soon as the 911 center picks up the phone, and that lets us start getting to the emergency faster. So we were using that with the drone. We started piloting it with our central business district officers downtown. And we've seen some success where they've been able to, while you're calling 911, they hear you and they can immediately start driving to where you are. And then it gets them there, a minute and a half, 2 minutes faster sometimes than if they had to wait for the dispatch call to come through. So a lot of safety related technology that we're putting into Silver Spring, particularly into the downtown, that really is showing a very positive return on investment. We're seeing the crime numbers go down and people being more safe. Again, I'll finish with downtown by saying we have a lot of quality of life stuff we need to deal with, and we're focusing on that. So, sliding up real quick to Long Branch, so Piney Branch Corridor, University, Flower Avenue. We've been putting in some efforts over there for folks that live over there. The Flower Avenue area has two main problems. One is a lot of folks are consuming alcohol and they're drunk in public, and a lot of quality of life issues. So we've been partnering with, and we're seeing more homeless people out in the Long Branch, Piney Branch area. So we've been partnering with Health and Human Services to work on those issues and help try to get people some services. And we do that downtown too. It's the police department works in partnership with a lot of people, right? We have Health and Human Services for our outreach with our homeless folks. We work with the urban district downtown. Carson, for those that know him, fantastic group. The Red Shirts, they're out there keeping Silver Spring clean and fixing things and working on safety issues. Our regional service person, Jacob Newman. So a lot of people we work together, and Jacob also works with us over in Long Branch. So we work with Health and Human Services over there. A lot of that is alcohol related stuff. There's so many beer stores and stuff in the Piney Branch corridor. People are drinking a lot, and it's a lot of quality of life stuff. So we're working on that. There's been an uptick in some drug use and activity at Piney Branch and University. We've been focusing on that. We've seen a decline, but it's still going on. We still have more work to do. And the the only other issue we did have in Long Branch, which the crime over there has been down quite a bit, but we did have two violent homicides over there at Piney Branch and University, and one behind the Long Branch Community Center. Those were both closed by arrest. Those were both it was the same suspects. They were gang members, unfortunately juvenile gang members, and there was some disputes over drugs and gang activity that led to the violence between these folks that were all kind of dabbling in bad stuff. So still not good. We still don't want violent crime and homicides and stuff. But we had two, and they were quickly closed by our detectives over there. So moving to Four Corners, Hillendale, things have been pretty quiet there. We've had some after-school fights this year, starting from Blair. There's been some kids that had some problems over the summer, and they decided to meet at the 7-Eleven and McDonald's after school and fight about it. We've had a couple fights, but we've engaged the school district, our partners, Street Outreach, that work along with the rec department. So we've been making some interventions with these kids and trying to get this disputes kind of simmered down a little bit. But Four Corners has been pretty good outside of a couple of pop-up fights and stuff with these kids and whatnot. Luckily, no issues at any football games that we've had so far this year. You may have read that there's been some issues at other schools over in our 4th district and stuff, but we've had some very nice football games for Silver Spring area. Hillendale, things are doing really good over there. Very, pretty quiet. We had some theft issues at the Hillendale Safeway that we worked with them on. We've seen a decrease there. Some of these decreases, people ask me, particularly in the Long Branch and Hillendale area, if that is due to an uptick in ICE activity. Just for the record, Montgomery County Police does not do immigration operations. We don't work with ICE. We don't know what they're doing, when they're doing it, where they're doing it. That's a federal responsibility that they're handling. But we have seen a crime decrease, and some people have asked, is that because of ICE being out and about? I don't know. We've been analyzing our calls for service. We still see people are calling 911 for the most part in the Spanish-speaking neighborhoods, so that's a good sign. We're still working on doubling down on trying to build our trust and maintain our trust, because we want to make sure that everybody is safe no matter where you're from. But are people laying low because immigration's out? I don't know. I've read that some of the businesses and restaurants in the Long Branch area are suffering from a lack of customers. Maybe that's because of that, but so. But a lot, and why I bring that up is because some of the theft that was going on in Hillendale was organized crews that would come into that Safeway and steal a bunch of products and then take it down to the Langley Park area and sell it to the food trucks. And those are predominantly Spanish neighborhood, Spanish speaking neighborhood down there. And so that's why we get that question like, oh, things have quieted down. Is it because of ICE activity? I don't know. Talking to some community members, we had a nice interaction, community meeting that Lieutenant Kep and I were at yesterday in Long Branch, and we're hearing some mixed results. Some people are afraid and some people are not. So moving up to White Oak. White Oak has we had a problem on Lockwood Drive at all the bus stops and the transit area along Lockwood Drive that for the last 2 months or so we've done a dedicated enforcement and outreach and engagement over there. We had some violence. We actually had a homicide on Lockwood Drive that started with what happens is folks are drinking in public, these small level crimes. Next thing you know, they're drunk, they're arguing, and then it leads to violence. So we did have one homicide on Lockwood Drive involving a dispute that started between two people that knew each other, but it involved alcohol and stuff like that. Since that violent issue, that there has been an arrest in that case that's closed. All of our homicides in Silver Spring have been closed this year. We've had five, which is five too many, but luckily I'll explain the other ones. We have had quick closures on them. So we worked these with these businesses and stuff on Lockwood Drive to target quality of life crimes. We had people dancing nude at the bus stops. We had illegal markets being set up. It was open bars. It was like a club. It was ridiculous over there. So we were able to get that under control. Significant improvements. No violence since we've been doing all this, which is good. And in fact, we wrapped up the main part of that operation with a community cleanup day that happened on Monday. So we had partners from the community, from the school system came out. It was not created by us. We're happy to partner, but it was good people from the community that came out and volunteered to help clean up a lot of the trash and stuff over there. So nice improvements over there. With that area being targeted and us really working a lot of operations over there, we also had drug sales going on, crack cocaine sales at all the bus stops. We've made a number of arrests. We did 2 search warrants, got a lot of drugs off the street and some bad people. So we really just hit it hard over there. And we've seen some positive return on investment. The businesses, very positive feedback and feedback from folks that live over there that were complaining to us. So we want to remind people to call us when things are happening. We do take it seriously. We do work on it. And that was a case where people did complain to us and we took action. So White Oak, other than that, we had some robberies early on in the year over there. We've made some arrests. It was some juvenile robberies. And like I said, the last couple months has been really a good turnaround over there. Moving up to Fairland, Cherry Hill Road and Fairland area. Really the main issues over there are the retail theft in the shopping center. We've had not really too much else going on over there. We used to have these big car rallies that would come in and do donuts and shoot fireworks, and we've really taken an aggressive approach to getting ahead of that. They mostly have been terrorizing Prince George's County and up to Anne Arundel County, but the state police created a car rally task force and they try to arrest these folks and identify these folks. This isn't car club people that are like, putting the hood up on a 67 Chevy. These are people that are coming in and taking over intersections and pouring gasoline on the street and lighting it on fire. Very dangerous stuff. So we've been staying ahead of that. We haven't seen any of those issues come into Silver Spring, which is good this year. That's very good to report. We did have one homicide in the Cherry Hill, Fairland area. It was domestic related. It was between a son and a mother's boyfriend. and there was some violence there within the residence contained, and ultimately the younger individual shot the boyfriend of the mom, and that person unfortunately passed away. So we did make an arrest in that. That case is closed. Moving up to Burtonsville, to Briggs Cheney, things like that. We've things have really quieted down quite a bit over the summer into the fall, which is good up there. We had one homicide early in the year up not too far from Fairland Elementary that was closed. That was basically drug related, what we believe drug related beef between another drug person, but that case was closed. Everything up in Burtonsville is doing really good. For those that haven't been up there, that Burtonsville shopping center, where the TJ Maxx is, it's really nice up there. We got Chipotle open now. The Moby Dick is up there. Good food up there. And the Sprouts grocery store, everything's looking really good and staying really nice on that Burtonsville shopping center. So that is the overall recap. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with the serious crimes in the third district. I want to continue to focus on the little things that people see every day and the nuisance stuff that really bothers everybody. And I think that's where we're going to keep trying to get better. It's challenging. We're dealing with a lot of people that have substance abuse issues, mental health issues. Like I said, we work hand in hand with Health and Human Services. We're trying to get people help to solve the problems. We're not looking to arrest our way out of it, but sometimes we do have to make arrests when we need to. So, upcoming, besides the Holiday Crime Initiative, we're going to be doing, Lieutenant Miller is going to be focusing some more dedicated efforts on Veterans Plaza down there at the Civic Center building in downtown Silver Spring. That's another area where we've seen an increase of people smoking marijuana, drinking in public, and just kind of general small quality of life stuff that are making people uncomfortable when they come and go between the stores. So that's going to be starting and continuing through the holiday season as well. So yeah, that's what I got, Alan. I don't know if that was what you're looking for. Oh, I see some questions in the chat. I'll let you know if you want me to answer them or not.
I do want you to answer the questions, and I'm going to ask our audience if you got any questions for the commander and his staff to please use the raise hand function so we can see who wants to be recognized. It's under the react button on your Zoom screens. You click on react, and then there's a button that says raise hand, and looks a little bit like it looks a little bit like that. So please ask all of your questions. Commander, you can answer the questions in the chat, but let me get this one out of the way.
Yeah.
One of our neighbors, former president of the East Silver Spring Citizens Association, Tim Haverland, asked this question: do you know what happened to the two individuals who were arrested with regard to the homicides in Nolte Park? And I told him in a text message, I said that's sort of the state's attorney's office, but I'm wondering if you knew if they had been prosecuted and were incarcerated, or had they been released to the community?
So I know there was multiple people involved. I think at least two people were charged. I think they may have and I'm dusting off my memory on this. I remember having a discussion with someone. I looked into a similar question. There's one person that was charged, but they later released them because further evidence surfaced that they, although may have been there, they didn't actually physically pull the trigger. It was the other guy, and that guy has been charged. So my understanding is the person actually responsible for the actual act is still being, I think it's still going through the system. But there was one person that they had charged early on that some evidence surfaced that caused them to not pursue them for the actual murder, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you for that answer.
Yep. And then I forgot to mention if Doug or Pat have anything to add, feel free to chime into any of this stuff. So yeah, the DFR question, and Pat, was met me down there. Um, I did an updated post on my social media. Basically, um, they're building that parking garage on Georgia Avenue, um, north of Colesville Road. You'll see for those that are down there, there's a big crane. It's really big. When that crane turns, it turns over the launch pad for the drone, so not very safe at all. So we temporarily moved the drone to White Oak while we are looking for an alternative building to launch the drone from. The crane is going to be up for like 8 or more months, so it's going to be a lengthy time that renders that particular building for now unusable. However, we do have a great partnership with some other businesses downtown, and I know Captain Galladora on Monday is going to meet with one of the businesses downtown that are offering us to use any of their roofs of the multiple buildings they have downtown. So with hope, uh, potentially within 2, 3 weeks, maybe it depends on lawyers signing a document. We could be back up in downtown Silver Spring. I talked to Captain Galladora today. I expressed I would really like to have that drone back up before Black Friday and the holiday shopping season kicks off. And he thought that that was something that potentially could happen. So, Pat, I don't know if you want to chime in. I know you were down there as well.
Couple days up in special operations dealing with the air support unit, and it was just one of those. Uh, I don't know if I froze. Unforeseen circumstances with the crane, but like Commander said, we're working with some other opportunities and buildings, and we still have other resources to have drones in that area for at least a little bit longer. I still have one in the back of my car. We have a patrol drone program that can still respond for other major incidents and things like that down there. But again, it's going to be a temporary thing while it's down, and nothing that we anticipate will be a longer term.
Let me just ask a
Yeah, and every,
question. Let me ask a question as a follow up to that. So, since you moved
yep.
the drones to White Oak and to their district headquarters, if that's going to
Yep.
be your launch pad, do you expect to use the drones, in White Oak, and do you expect it to have a positive impact on some of the developments up there?
Yeah, so White Oak is something we've been engaging the East County, and for those that have been at the East County Citizens Advisory Board, I mean, I've been hearing nothing but folks that are asking for the same drone service that downtown gets, and we want to give it to you. So we're working on that. It's up there in Silver Spring, right in at the Silver Spring station right now. And although it's temporary, like Lieutenant Kep said, what it's doing is it's allowing us for these 2 or 3 weeks to gain some data and information that can help us with that. There is a plan to have a drone in White Oak and potentially another one stationed in Burtonsville that essentially will give the entire East County and downtown Silver Spring drone coverage from the police. So we're working on that. Those plans are in the future. We are going to have for the East County, for White Oak and Burtonsville, working with Council Member Mink, we are going to have a town hall on this matter because the technology, the presentation that we gave everybody with the drone technology back when we started all this, a lot of it's still the same. Our transparency, our policies, our website, everything stayed the same. But there's some new technology coming out that actually makes us more efficient and effective. So and that's the technology that's going to come to White Oak and Burtonsville and ultimately downtown at some point. But we want to do a town hall to share with the East County community about this new technology. It's the same. The drone is different. It's still a drone, but it makes us a little more efficient and effective with some of the latest technology with and rules that we've had some new approvals from the FAA that'll let us do some things a little bit better. So it's all good stuff, but we want to share that with everybody. So we'll be doing that.
Thank you very much.
Um, we got some other questions. Tony, or if you want me to go, Alan, into the chat, or do you want to?
Go into the chat unless somebody wants to raise their hand. And I don't see anybody raising their hand. If you want to blurt out and ask a question, that's fine with us too. But there were some questions in the chat, and I've not been looking at the chat, so I can't help with
Okay.
that.
I got the chat up. So Tony asked any legislation or new community programs you would like us to pursue. So the things that I'm pushing for is the technology that I spoke of is to keep investing in that. Cameras, license plate readers, drones, things that are making us smarter, more efficient, more effective. We're being more effective of catching people that are doing bad things. We're being more efficient in handling emergencies. We're being safer for everybody. We've even, it's not just about catching bad people too. The drone has found someone that needed medical help that was having trouble describing where they were, missing people. So license plate readers also help with alerting us when someone who is a silver alert potentially or a missing person in a vehicle. It can indicate to us that the missing person is in a particular area. So all this technology is for overall safety, not just crime, but crime is a part of it. So I think pushing and supporting a technology forward-thinking police department and public safety is good. Legislation, like I said, we just had the Retail Theft Act come out, so that's a positive step. We'll see if that works okay or not, or if we need to potentially visit some other consequence to try to get a lot of this theft to slow down, whether that means changing the dollar amount. It used to be $500 was a felony. Now it's $1,500. So do we need to examine potentially making the values a little less to make the consequences more serious for folks that are stealing things? So to be determined. We'll see how things play out with this new law. I will say the other big issue that we need to pay attention to and keep focus on is juvenile related crime. I was talking to Senator Will Smith the other day. They did make some adjustments with the Department of Juvenile Service with regards to kids that have been arrested with guns. We had one downtown Silver Spring. We had a kid that stole a bunch of things from the CVS on Wayne Avenue, and we stopped him after they tried to run away. And he had basically an AR pistol. It looks like a machine gun in his backpack, short barrel machine gun with a big magazine, 30-round magazine. And I was concerned that they were just going to release this kid back to his parents. And the issue is when we have kids that are engaged in violent crime and serious crime, you just release them that night back to their parents, and there's no immediate plan to try to get them help or services or counseling or understanding what's going on. So the state had changed the procedure that if they get caught with certain crimes to include weapons, that they at least get held in the short term until they can see a judge and until juvenile services can get an idea of what's going on before we just put this kid back into potentially a troubled situation. So far that's working. I told Senator Will Smith personally that I think that I'd like to get that expanded to juveniles that engage in violent robberies and things of that nature. I don't think if a juvenile engages in a robbery, a violent felony, that they should just be immediately turned back over to their parents. I don't think that we should be locking up kids for small things or little fights and stuff, but I'm talking about carjackings. I'm talking about real serious stuff. So there's some work to do in the juvenile world, but I do see some improvements from the state on that. So we'll keep you tuned, Tony, and everybody else if things arise on that. One question is thoughts of having a plate reader on New Hampshire Avenue at the county line at Northampton. We did evaluate that location. Right now, we have 10, 8 that we're getting for Silver Spring. New Hampshire at Northampton was not one of the locations, although it would be a good location. We have more main arteries coming into Silver Spring than we have license plate readers this time around. However, I'm told the department is considering in the upcoming fiscal year budgetary request for more license plate reader technology. That would, of course, be up to the department to put that forward, and then the county executive to want to include that in his budget, and obviously the council to vote on it. But if we got funded for more license plate reader technology, that location would be one of the top ones that would be next on the list. Those who are homeless have been more pronounced in downtown Silver Spring. As I mentioned, Long Branch. Has something changed with services or shelters? No, our services are still ongoing. Health and Human Services are working their tails off out there trying to help people. They're great partners of ours. We thought that there was going to be an increase in homeless coming out of DC with some of the surge going on down there and the ripping the homeless camps down. From talking to our homeless outreach folks and folks that work at the shelter, I'm being told, last I was told, that we have not seen a huge increase in that. What you will see, though, particularly in the summer, is, in the wintertime, the shelter opens expanded shelter space for folks to get out of the cold. In the summertime, they don't have that same expanded shelter place. So it's hot outside. You'll see the parking lot of Progress Place, there's no shade. So the folks that are not in the shelter throughout the day, they're outside, but the parking lot is so hot, so they split up and they kind of move elsewhere around the downtown under trees and different parts. So it might appear as if they're more all over the place, but I think in the wintertime, with the shelter being expanded, you may see less of that. And Long Branch, we've had issues in Long Branch for a while. We actually had Health and Human Services go out there and were successful with helping a few people get into some housing and services. We're still dealing with, I don't know, maybe 10 or so in that corridor that, sometimes you have to pester them to get them to agree to get help. So it's not like a one-time thing. Sometimes it takes dedicated effort. So we're still working on that. Question on the DC side of Eastern Avenue, donuts racing up and down. How did the task force work? So the task force is a multi-agency task force in Maryland. It's Maryland State Police, Prince George's County, Montgomery County, Anne Arundel County, Baltimore. And essentially, when we find out about these street takeovers, a lot of times they publish it on social media and different things. We can focus efforts in a preventative way. So basically what we do is we beat them to the spot. So if they're like, hey, everybody, we're going to have a big burnout at a particular location, we try to have officers go there early on, engage with folks as they start coming, and dissuade them from engaging in illegal acts, getting them to leave, making arrests. There are investigators that when people do donuts and stuff, they get video from the traffic cameras, they get license plates, they follow up, and they've been actually making arrests. So people are getting held accountable in Maryland. I think that's why we've seen a decrease. I don't know. I can't say what exactly DC is doing or what they're not doing regarding that behavior. But Virginia has also been had some of these cases as well. But Maryland's just basically, we're trying to nip it early and get some people arrested that need to be arrested and hold them accountable and just set the tone that reckless, unsafe, and violent. We've had Prince George's County has had homicides. People have been shot at these things. A lot of they're very violent. So that's been going on. Next question from Joel. Trump's using National Guard, ICE, homeless tent removals. Another homeless question. Yeah, we thought that was going to be an issue with the tent removals. Are we going to see a lot more homeless people up in Silver Spring? We have not, from what I'm told. And I think what's going on is the District of Columbia, from what I heard, again, this is what I heard. I haven't spoken to them directly. I think that DC did a lot of engagement where these encampments were taken down, and we're trying to get people into shelters and help them in other parts of the city. So,
Let me interject a
yep.
question.
Go ahead.
So, one of the issues which has been at the forefront since we last talked is pedestrian fatalities, throughout the county, not necessarily in our district, but have there been any pedestrian fatalities in the third district? And what can you tell us about traffic enforcement?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of fatalities countywide. In the third district, we had unfortunately had one up on the 29 corridor, up near Tech Road, like the Stewart Lane area, and that area. 29 when you get up north of Four Corners turns into kind of like an interstate. It's kind of wide open. Obviously, there are some traffic lights, but what we see is, particularly at night, is folks run across 29 because they want to catch the bus. And the light is green for cars going up and down 29, and sometimes they're going 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. And you have someone run out in the road to try to catch, get across the street for the bus stop. And unfortunately, they got hit by a car. We did have so that's the only fatal pedestrian collision we've had in the third district recently. So knock on wood, thankfully, we have not had that. There have been issues elsewhere. We did have a juvenile struck by a vehicle on Georgia Avenue up near the downtown Wheaton area the other night. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but that juvenile ran into the roadway as well, and a car was traveling down Georgia Avenue. So we're seeing the pedestrians that are not all of them, but some are not using crosswalks and running out into the road because they want to get to something and they're not maybe seeing a vehicle that's coming. For traffic enforcement, that's something that we're looking at trying to, particularly in the morning rush hour, do a little bit more of. We did do some extra details on New Hampshire Avenue and in some of the school zones when school started up in September to try to promote safer driving now that schools are back in session. Our central motor unit has been down. They've been all over the county, but they've been down in Silver Spring area as well, working. We use data on traffic enforcement, so where the collisions are happening, pedestrian and vehicle. Fortunately, we don't have a lot of pedestrian related accidents in Silver Spring. We do have them, but not fatals compared to other parts of the county. But we still work those areas. And I mean, for those that are downtown, there's no shortage of jaywalking. I think it's just mere luck that more people aren't getting hit by cars downtown because they're running across Georgia and Fenton and Colesville and getting to the metro. And so it's not that we have a shortage of violations. We just have luckily not had any serious accidents down there. But yeah, we're going to be focusing more on that. That's traffic enforcement is the challenge because with the staffing shortages, we have centralized traffic officers, but we have a reduced number of district level traffic officers. So we're leaning on our patrol officers between 911 calls to be trying to do some of that, take up some of that extra work.
Thank you very much. And then let me ask this question too while you look at the chat. So you referenced at the beginning of your presentation the homicides at Piney Branch University behind the Long Branch Community Center. You said it was gang related. Can you just comment on gang activity in the district? For many years, we were told there were no gangs in Silver Spring, something that many of us found hard to believe. Wonder if you've got any comment on gang activity, if there's been an increase, is it stabilized? Are you guys on top of it?
Well, I don't want to throw shade on whoever said that, but that wouldn't be accurate. As you know, I started my career 20 years ago down in Silver Spring, and we had gang activity then, and we got it now. But it does ebb and flow. So to say that sometimes there's on the decline, sometimes it's on the increase, and so we have two different types of gang activity. So we have MS-13, particularly in the Long Branch, Northampton, Northwest Park area, and we have neighborhood crews that are all over from Piney Branch corridor, Castle Boulevard, White Oak, down New Hampshire Avenue towards Tacoma Park. And so what we're seeing is we're seeing juveniles that are maybe not to call somebody a gang in Maryland, you have to validate them. There's certain legal processes for that. You just can't call someone a gang member. There's a list of criteria. So we have what we would call some neighborhood crews, potentially juveniles that are not maybe at the level of an official gang, but they're together doing some crimes. Maybe they're starting to loosely kind of come together as a gang. Those, obviously we work with our partners on the intervention side and the prevention side to try to dissuade that. But we do have neighborhood gangs, documented, validated gangs, a handful of them up and down the corridor of Silver Spring, and we have the biggest international gang is MS-13. There have been a lot of arrests. MS-13, we've in the past year or two, they've used enhanced prosecution and have gotten a lot of MS-13 members some very significant jail time for very violent crimes, particularly in the Long Branch, Northwest Park area. The homicides that happened at Pioneer University were juveniles involved in gangs, which is troubling because you're seeing younger people now trying to fill these empty voids of adults maybe that we've taken out of circulation through prosecution and things of that nature. So we have gang detectives that work with the schools, with our street outreach, with Health and Human Services, and so they're focused on particularly the juveniles, trying to get them to stop before it gets worse, and also holding the organized crews accountable when they engage in that type of behavior. So I wouldn't say that our gang problems are like, Los Angeles and drive-by shootings and, things you see in the movies. We have gang activity. It ebbs and flows.
Well, thank you for that answer. Anybody else have a question for the commander and his command staff?
I do have a couple comments that just popped up. So I'll get a question about drunk driving offenses in the third district. So our numbers year to date, I just looked recently. We have arrested more people for drunk driving this year than we did last year. Um, you know, Lieutenant Kep is more of the alcohol expert. If there's any trends that you're aware of, you would think with Uber this would stop, but I would say that our numbers are. We've made a number of arrests, but Pat, I don't know if you want to talk about trends or what you're seeing from the DUI world.
Yeah, this being my former wheelhouse for the vast majority of my career, when I wasn't in Silver Spring and just with drones, they're still there. They're still out and about. It is somewhat, as Commander Kokinos alluded to, with staffing and in between calls for service. It's not as much of the um, out and I'll call it hunting for DUIs as it would be, but we do have the unit that I used to come from, or that I came from, the Alcohol Initiatives Unit. That's a group of, well, now they're down to 4 officers and a sergeant, so even they're facing some staffing shortages. But they are out there every Wednesday to Saturday looking for and locking up impaired drivers. We had the Traffic Operations Division and Alcohol Initiatives Unit had their summer task force, which I believe had someone from the third district participating in. So that was kind of a new and novel effort for traffic to. We usually do the holiday task force, which I'll talk about in a second, but it was to try to curb some of the impaired driving offenses during the summertime when it's those 100 deadliest days, really from Memorial Day to Labor Day or to 4th of July or whatever it is. But coming up here in just about a month, the Traffic Operations Division has the Holiday Task Force, which is where officers from around the county leave their home districts, and we send them over to the alcohol unit, and they go out there and they really hit the roads hard for that other deadliest portion of the year, which is around the holidays. So you'll see increased enforcement on alcohol-related offenses, and obviously, again, Central Motors are do an outstanding job with all their enforcement, but the numbers will trend up even more for the arrests, I would hope, unfortunately hope, as more officers are out there doing that targeted enforcement here in the next month or so as we get into that holiday season. So the alcohol unit's out there every week, but they will have some increased staffing here pretty shortly.
And we actually have 2 volunteers, well, 1.5 volunteers that you can only do half the time, that we're going to be probably sending up to that from Silver Spring. So, Lincoln on George, appreciate your positive comments. Thank you. Um, Melanie, sorry to hear that your son was struck in a crosswalk. Hopefully he's okay. I'm glad that it was not serious. We do get pedestrians that are not at fault, that the vehicle is at fault. And one thing that you'll notice around the county, and I believe it was Council Member Glass, I apologize if I give him credit accidentally, but I think it was him, championed a safety bill for traffic that you'll notice a lot more intersections are no turn on red. That's because when vehicles are turning right on red, a lot of times they're looking for other cars, but they're missing pedestrians. And that's where we see a lot of our pedestrians at these intersections. So we're hopeful that with the more no turn on red, which can be frustrating for some drivers, we hope to see a reduction in pedestrian accidents at a lot of those busy intersections.
Emmanuel's got his hand up. Emmanuel, why don't you unmute and ask your question to the commander? Emmanuel? Well, while he gets that together, Eileen Finnegan's got a question in the chat. Is there an update on staffing in the third? Are new recruits moving up?
Yeah, so
Thank you.
we're up. Go ahead,
Emmanuel, in
Emmanuel.
a second, Emmanuel,
Yeah.
after he answers this question. Go ahead,
Yep.
please.
Okay, yep, I'll answer this one quick. Yeah, so I mean, we're short-staffed. We are about, last time I checked, the third district is about 17% vacant. We did get a number of recruits out of this last class. We are have a class that's in now, and we're hopeful to get some officers from that. And one thing that we're going to have to wait to see the return on investment, but we entered into an agreement with the UMGC, University of Maryland Global Campus, where if you come work for Montgomery County Police, you don't have to have a college degree anymore. We'll give you a $20,000 signing bonus. You start at $70,000 a year, which that's pretty darn good. And if you complete our police academy and our field training, University of Maryland Global Campus will give you 60 college credits. So you're going to get free college. Our police academy has been blessed by University of Maryland to be an official educational institution that they are giving college credits for. So that takes effect for applicants starting in the July 2026 class, which the recruitment for that is currently underway. So if you know anybody that wants to be the police, doesn't have college, maybe can't afford college, you're going to get free college, you're going to get a signing bonus, you're going to get a great salary, and you're going to get to serve the community. And the more officers that sign up are more officers that I can try to get us down here in Silver Spring. So we're not perfect staffing. We're not the worst. I do think the fourth district is staffed, having more staffing issues than we are, but I would love to get 25, 30 more cops or so would be really good. We can really expand some of the safety initiatives and things that we're doing.
Just on follow up on that question, to the best of your knowledge, have you lost any officers to the $50,000 signing bonus that ICE is offering?
I have not in Silver Spring. I'm not aware of anybody else at the agency. I don't know. I can only speak for the officers in Silver Spring because I work with all of them, and I would know if they left, but not from Silver Spring. So,
thanks. Emmanuel, you've got a question. Please unmute and ask your question to the commander. Thank you.
Good evening, Commander. Thank you so very much for your solid leadership, and I'm so proud of you. And I appreciate also for answering my question in regard to drunk driving, and because it's dear to my heart. I lost a brother, a friend, Noah Leota. So I always follow up with the progress. And I have one question for you, because I know for the fact there is annual alcohol task force in December. So what do you think if you can involve the citizens of this county in order to help the police force? I know There is a shortage of it, but at least to help out. So what do you think about it? Thank you.
Well, one, I think for those that haven't been, I encourage you to join try to attend our Citizens Academy that they put on. That's great. But I think one thing that you all can do is if you know good people that want to serve and you think they'd be good, tell them to come work for us. Like I said, we got this college incentive. Not many places are doing that. It's kind of like the private sector where you go work for a firm and they pay for your college. We got signing bonuses, we got salaries. Yeah, the feds are offering 50,000 to go work for ICE. U.S. Park Police is offering 70,000 bonus, but I think you can get real satisfaction with serving the local community at the local level. So I think that's a niche that the feds can't compete with. Being able to really, particularly those that live here and grew up here, you can serve. So we're asking everybody to help us recruit. So that's one thing I think you can help us with for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commander. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I got one question about the license plate reader, DC, Georgia, and Eastern. So we would be putting one northbound Georgia, just north of Eastern, north of Blair Road, actually, would be one of our locations. So we would have that for folks coming into Montgomery County. DC in the district, they do have a number of their own license plate readers for vehicles traversing through the district that are stolen or carjacked and stuff like that. So I don't know what's posted on the DC side where you're at, but yeah, we're going to be looking to do something on our side.
As we bring
I
this
think
to
that's it's all the chat questions there, Alan.
yeah, as we bring this to conclusion, I want to ask this: is the third district doing any sort of youth engagement projects? We had talked about basketball before. We had talked about some other activities. Do you have any of those on your agenda?
Yeah, we've been doing a bunch. We just did futsal. I'm not an expert in that. We did 3-on-3 basketball up in White Oak. We just did, Glenda Franco did a all girls sporting thing near Tacoma. So yeah, we got a lot of youth sports going on. We just posted on our social media. I think I reposted it on my account about the latest youth sport event we just did, and we're having officers that are playing along some of the kids or coaching some of if it's youth on youth activity, serving as coaches and other things. So yeah, we've had multiple, and we're going to look to keep doing that. I know you brought that up before as something that you support, and I support that also, and I'm glad that we've been able to do that.
I just wanted to reiterate how important it is to your work and to the kind of advocacy that we do for our neighborhoods. So thank you very much for all you do. Does anybody else have any final questions for the commander and his staff? Connie, are you saying goodbye or you have a question?
No, I'm saying I have a question. That program that's between the UMGC and is it Montgomery County Police? Is there a website that's covered on someplace?
We did some press releases. So if you Google Montgomery County Police, UMGC, it should come up. We've did a lot of press announcements about it. There are some videos on our social media with our Captain Dave Reed. For those that remember Dave Reed when he was down here, he's running our training academy. He did an informational post about the new relationship. So it is. I think the easiest would be to search it on your phone on the internet, and it should come up with a lot of those descriptions. I'm not sure if I haven't checked. I don't want to give you bad information. They're supposed to update the police department's website, join MCP with that, but I haven't checked to see if it's updated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Connie, and thank you, Commander. Just wanted to acknowledge that we had Tony Hausner, the founder of Safe Silver Spring, on the call tonight, and many of you know about his activism and his advocacy for the police department and its community engagement. Just want to announce that the next meeting of Safe Silver Spring, if it works out for the commander, would be in February of 2026. And working with him, we'll try to schedule our 4 quarterly meetings for 2026. So thank you again, Commander Kakinos, for what you do for the community. Thank your officers on our behalf. And please don't reach out to feel free to reach out to us if there's anything we can do to help you in your work.
Great. And Lieutenant Kep put a link in the chat about the UMGC thing. It's the link is in the chat there, a web link to some information that's on the UMGC website. But yeah, thank you, Alan. Appreciate everyone joining. Good group of people, and glad we got to chat for a bit tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Commander. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye. Good night.